Love that. Oh my goodness. That just set the tone, didn't it? Thank you so much, Ruth. And good morning, everyone. I am Reverend Sharon Dunn, the Senior Minister at the Sacramento Center for Spiritual Living, and I welcome you. And yesterday, it looks like at Rausch Park, we had an event. Did we not, Ruth?
We certainly did. We met at Rausch Park and we collected items for CAFE, which is the organization that the Outreach Committee is working with this term. So we collected items and donations, and we'll talk about that later in the announcements, but it was so wonderful to be together and to have some time to visit and to do something wonderful for a great organization. We're going to have opportunities to continue to donate the rest of this month, and we'll talk about that during announcements. But again, it was so wonderful to be together and to visit. We made it a little bit short because it was kind of warm out there yesterday.
Right.
But it was a beautiful place to be under the trees and to visit. And so hopefully we're going to have more opportunities coming up to be together. Thank you.
Great. Oh, and do we have some good news about our new building? Did we not get our roof permits? I think we did.
We certainly did. I found out from Jessa this week that the roof permits were approved and that the roofing company has got the work order, and hopefully, if all goes well, they will be doing the roof and maybe be finished sometime this week.
That is answered prayer, because when they finish, we are a week away from being able to get in there after the roof is done, because we'll be putting up that one wall that will secure the structure indoors, and we'll clean up and curtain off the main areas, and make a little space where we can start having our Sunday services together. And I am so excited. So we'll talk a little bit more about how many donations we've received for our building fund as well. Lots of good news. So thank you, Ruth. And now it is my distinct pleasure to introduce Reverend Debbie Putnam. She is a minister affiliated with Emerson Institute, and she is a licensed practitioner affiliated with Centers for Spiritual Living. And she is a powerful prayer consciousness. And I am excited that you're here. We've missed you. Welcome home, Debbie.
Thank you so much. And did you guys see that slide? There's like this invocation that I'm supposed to do, and then it says truth in these bold letters. So I have been called to action, as we all are, to speak truth and not the other stuff. So love to all. There is one power. There is one presence. There is one infinite, divine order, divine intelligence, divine wholeness, and divine well-being. It is all that is happening right here and right now. It is all that I am, and it is all that is true for the Sacramento Center for Spiritual Living. Every person, every board member, every friend, every participant, our wonderful senior minister, Reverend Sharon, Reverend Patricia, the whole gang, each and every person who is involved, attracted to, or in any way touched by this center is filled with this loving kindness and this divine order and this divine truth that is the very essence of being, the very essence of our being. And so I declare this truth, and I know that this truth is what is spoken today through the wise and fun and interesting, engaging words of our senior minister, Reverend Sharon, and through the whole service as all of the production goes amazingly well. In this knowing, I give thanks, and it is done, and so it is. And now for our readings. Speaking truth to circumstances. In speaking of treating in the absolute, we mean dealing with the law back of material form, working in the higher planes of thought for the control of conditions on the manifest side of life. Working in the absolute means attuning oneself to the invisible, contemplating the qualities which we believe to be a part of God, such as love, harmony, peace, wisdom, strength, etc. And then seeing oneself as partaking and being a part of that infinite perfection. Ernest Holmes. A practitioner of this science should not be confused over any given form, but should know that any form which is not of the original harmony is subject to change. Ernest Holmes. And from Thomas Troward, circumstances indicate the sort of power we want, but they do not help us generate it. Rather, they impress us with a sense of something contrary to the power. And therefore, we should endeavor to dwell on the power in itself, and so come into touch with it in its limitless infinitude. And now for our music.
calling us into our calling way down in that water. Dream the rivers dreaming, oh, the will of sorrow to make clean these springs of joy in this year now gone tomorrow. We are bound and we are joy. Let's keep going. Oh, the will of sorrows to make clean these springs of joy in this here now gone tomorrow. We are bound and we have joy.
Oh, I love it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Ruth. Again, perfect choice. Yes, we have choice. So we're speaking this month on speaking truth to circumstance. And today's talk is standing on Shiva. What is Shiva? Shiva is the Lord Shiva of Hinduism. And why am I talking about Hinduism today? I'm talking about Hinduism because our teaching, the author of our teaching, Ernest Holmes, was a scholar of all religions, all world religions, and particularly the oldest world religion, which is Hinduism, which includes the Bhagavad Gita, and he actually wrote his own Bhagavad Gita in the Song Celestial. So we do know that you don't have to change your religion to come and join our community, that we honor all paths. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about Shiva and why Shiva has a message for us. So I did notice that evil is live spelled backwards. Evil is live spelled backwards. And I thought that was so clever that I had to post it on Facebook. And I posted, choose evil or choose to live. However you spell it, it's your choice. I thought, and then of course, other people had to comment and use LIVE in different ways and jumbled it up and made different veil. There was all kinds of different ways that we could spell words out of these four letters, but the point being, just like that song that Ruth picked, the end of that song is we are at choice. So I'm going to tell you a story about Shiva. There's a Hindu story of a battle taking place between the gods and the demons. Now, in Hinduism, there are many, many gods and many, many demons and many, many stories. And very much like all scriptures, if you think about the Bible and the parables, if you think about the Quran, if you think about the Torah, there are so many stories for us to relate to, for us to discover how they apply to us. And so in Hinduism, there is also a Trinity, just like in Christianity and other religions, there's a Trinity, and Shiva is part of that Trinity. So there's this particular story where the demons were winning and the gods turned to Durga. Now, Durga is a goddess, the goddess of compassion and mothering. Interesting how when there's all these demons fighting, they would call forth Durga, who is the goddess of compassion, to do something. Now, Shiva is partnered with Durga. He's also partnered with Parvati, Uma, Sati, Kali. they are all manifestations of the one. And so when you hear different stories about these gods and goddesses, it's very much like in Science of Mind, where we are created out of spirit, and we are the manifestation of spirit. The many principles of spirit. We are light and love and harmony and peace and joy. Those are similar to the gods and goddesses of Hinduism because they all stand for a certain principle. So they're having this battle with the demons, and out of Durga's forehead sprang the fierce warrior goddess Kali. So Kali proceeds to destroy the demons, but in her frenzy, she starts killing everything, everyone. And Shiva then comes. Shiva is the destroyer of illusion. He throws himself at her feet, allowing her to come to her senses, allowing her to come back to herself and stop mindlessly killing. So this idea of that he could bring her back to center, if you will. So when we go to war with conditions, which is what we're talking about this month, circumstances, situations, conditions, which is what we're talking about, we can get those conditions can seemingly, right, get out of hand. We can get in them and get so caught up in them that we lose all sense and everything becomes the condition. We forget who and whose we are. And so this idea of Shiva coming and touching Kali and bringing her back to her senses is kind of amazing. So when we go to war with our conditions, we can get lost in the battle. We can forget our real purpose, that we're grounded in truth, and being grounded in truth brings us back to remembering. So this week we remember to stand in truth, stand in Shiva as he did for Kali. So the three things I'm going to talk about today are illusion, confusion, and truth. And the principle, the Declaration of Principles written by Ernest Holmes, I chose a principle today to relate to the talk. And what I chose was, we believe in the incarnation of the Spirit in everyone, and that all people are incarnations of the one Spirit. Is that not Hinduism? That we are incarnations of Spirit, and so are all these gods and goddesses. So Shiva connotes a liberation and final emancipation, and the auspicious one. Wouldn't we say that about Spirit as well? Shiva is known as the destroyer of darkness. I just love that. One who can kill the forces of darkness. Shiva is also known as the first yogi, regarded as the patron god of yoga and the arts. I'm happy to report this week I started chair yoga. I'll let you know as we go along how that is working. But I literally downloaded the app, and I have a year's subscription to the most amazing videos on how to sit in a chair and exercise, which I find very exciting. So this idea of illusion, the spell of illusion, can sometimes drive us crazy, yes? There is so much to do, so many demons to slay. Have you ever felt like that? Have you ever gotten into the chaos of the outer world and just gotten lost? Not gotten lost, but kind of a sense of being lost. We're never lost. There's nothing ever lost in God. And so we can get pulled off of knowing the truth. And the Hindu story has several symbolic elements, just like when we're reading a parable or we're reading scripture and the story is told. The first demon that they were fighting, this demon, what I'm going to call Arata Biza, has a gift, if you will, that if cut, any drop of his blood that touches the ground results in a duplicate of himself. Wow. And they're calling this a gift. It represents the experience that no matter how hard we try, the problem we're trying to solve just grows and grows. Isn't that amazing? This is the folklore, if you will. There seems to be no solution to our problem. Faced with this, we can become anxious, extremely anxious. We can become hopeless, can we not? In the story, the gods are losing hope and they turn to Durga. It is interesting that a goddess known for compassion is the one they turn to, as we said. Compassion, defined, is sympathetic consciousness of others' distress together, now this part's good, with a desire to alleviate it, which makes it different than pity. Pity, you're just sitting in the distress with the other person. But with compassion, there is something we can do. And in our teaching, we know exactly what that is. We have spiritual practices that help us to alleviate distress. And Ernest Holmes reminds us that the world has learned all it should through suffering. Isn't that beautiful? The world has learned all it should. Now, does that mean that the world is not still engaging in suffering? Again, we have a choice. We have a choice. In Buddhism, with the noble truths, there is suffering. There is also a cessation to suffering. And in Hinduism, Buddha is considered in Hinduism as part of the teachings of reincarnation, death and rebirth and transformation. So all of these religions and teachings and philosophies, because there's no deity in Buddhism, are all connected. We're kind of all going to the same place, and that place is love. So in this idea of every drop of blood, of course, was consumed by Kali. And then while she was holding the bowl, catching all the blood, Durga then chopped his head off with her axe. Yes. And I don't, if you know or have seen images of the gods and goddesses of Hinduism, they're quite animated. They're quite animated. And they have quite a story in the animation with what they're holding and what they're standing on. And there's a lot of symbolism, so much symbolism in this beautiful religion called Hinduism. And this idea of catching all the blood can symbolize when we prevent the seeds of suffering from hitting the ground of our consciousness so that they no longer replicate. These are beautiful stories, but it takes a fierce, focused attention to do so, which is the goddess Kali. She destroys the demons, but in her frenzy, remember, she starts killing off everything, kind of loses her mind. And so Shiva throws himself under her feet, allowing her to come to her senses, come to herself, and stop mindlessly acting out, not mindlessly killing. Yes, it's a very violent story, but I think it's purposeful. Do you not agree? I think it's purposeful if we look at the symbolism. As we remember our spiritual principles, we wake up to truth. We stop killing off what we wanted to save or killing off something we want before it even happens for us because we are mindlessly going on. We need to be centered in spirit, standing in Shiva, standing in Shiva. So practices, of course, such as meditation, treatment, spiritual mind treatment, seeing a practitioner. I love seeing my practitioner. Especially when I'm in a frenzy, like Kali, or I am so caught up in confusion or illusion, I can't seem to see my way back. That's the perfect time to have someone witness you. Someone with a consciousness such as Debbie or Linda or Reverend Patricia or Margie or any of you who are practitioners of truth. I consider all of us in this teaching practitioners. And some of us are licensed. We've actually spent more time. We have an education. We can be so valuable. So without a spiritual practice, is it true we can get caught up in the latest cause for alarm? I did that just this morning. You know how I get caught up in the latest cause for alarm? I watch the news. The news is the fastest way to self. The news is the fastest way to self. I can get on the news, and especially depending on what channel I'm turning to. Isn't that interesting? What channel am I turning to? Am I watching? And I can get into panic, lickety split. I can get into panic, especially these days. There are always news stories blaring outrage at us, aren't there? And when we take the time to stand on Shiva, to stand in truth, we will see past the frenzy, past the illusions, the thunder, the lightning, the craziness. And when we're able to create that, we can create effective solutions. We're literally able to neutralize that which does not serve our highest good. And then we're able to affect, put into action, to apply the creative process in life-changing ways. And what is the creative process? That is manifestation from mind. It's beautiful practice. We learn a lot about that in foundations. We'll be teaching that in the fall. And so confusion, again, evil is live spelled backwards. I love that. Perhaps we can use this metaphor to realize that there aren't any real evil people in the world. It's just people living backwards. People living backwards for the use of the life force to create harm and devastation instead of creating greater expressions of aliveness, love, and joy. And when we look outside and we're judging people like that, we are really looking through our own lens. We cannot see what there is out there without realizing it for ourselves. So I then have to turn inward and say, where am I disregarding life? Where am I not standing on Shiva? So Callie, I love her. She's an expression of the divine mothering principle, if you can believe that, right? With all her, I guess if you've been a mother, you can get in that other side of Callie's behavior and just get a little frenzied. In fact, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, I think children, let me just keep it to the I position. I think my children lead me quicker to self than anything in the entire world. My children, for some reason, can push all the buttons that I've installed. Even the ones I've hidden the installation. They seem to be able to know exactly where they are. And so we become more aware and grounded in our oneness when we are standing on Shiva, or let's say standing in our spiritual practice. And so truth, our last point today, Shiva is often considered part of the trinity of creation, maintaining or protecting creation and destruction of creation so that something new may emerge. Again, this is that transformation, that death, rebirth. We just drove through a very bad fire called the Rabbit Fire that was happening near Hemet, California last night when we were driving from San Diego to Lancaster, where Larry's working. And a forest fire is that same kind of idea where it burns everything, but at the same time also gives opportunity for new life. And so this idea of Kali, that's kind of that transformative goddess And we must be fierce practitioners of truth like her in order to truly be effective in shifting consciousness and thus circumstances in the world. So Shiva is considered this, the supreme Lord, if you will. And there's 3 of those. And Shiva is considered part of this trinity and protecting creation. And Ernest reminds us, spirit is forever taking form and forever deserting the form which it has taken. Doesn't that sound a little like Hinduism? Spirit is forever taking form and forever deserting the form which it has taken. So form, circumstances, conditions, situations are transient. Do we not sometimes think that they're truth? Do we not sometimes, we're in a situation, circumstance, and condition, and we think that that's the only reality? And, I don't know about you, but sometimes I get caught up in what's going on. And that anxious part of me just starts to ignite. And luckily, as a practitioner, I'm practiced and I can bring myself back. So what am I saying? Am I saying that I'm Shiva and Kali and Durga all at once? Yes, we are many manifestations of the one. When we recognize this too shall pass, which is a wonderful little mantra to have, isn't it? We bring a calmness to ourselves. This too shall pass. My sister will say, more shall be revealed. I love that one. And when we recognize that, it has a calming effect. Just as Moses was told not to look upon God, and Arjuna, upon seeing the fullness of Krishna, cried out that he wanted to return to his normal scene, we must allow the flow of the divine nature to take place at a pace we can handle. Don't I often say, if we open that portal and see the infinite spirit, that it is so bright, the light is so bright, the love is so strong, the life is so amazing. We have to take it at our pace. We have to take it at our pace. We are forever expanding. This life is forever expanding. There's nothing wrong here, nothing to fix. There is nothing to be healed, only God to be revealed. Ernest reminds us there is no process of healing, but there is generally a process in healing. There's no process of healing, but there's generally a process in healing. So what that means is we're being restored back. We're not creating something new. We're being restored back to wholeness. We're not creating wholeness. We're already whole. There's nothing to heal, only God to be revealed. He goes on to say, this process is the time and effort which we undergo in our realization of truth. It's okay. We may get caught up in what's going on in the outside world, won't we? We may get caught up in family dynamics. We may get caught up in relationships. We may be caught up in diagnosis and prognosis. It isn't real. It isn't real. What's real is standing on Shiva. What's real is remembering who and whose we are. What's real is to recognize the one. Here's an example. Here's an example of standing on Shiva. The story about Mahatma Gandhi. During one of his hunger strikes, a man whose daughter had been killed came to Gandhi in a state of anguish. He told Gandhi that he would stop fighting if Gandhi would end his strike and eat. But Gandhi knew the healing was deeper than just stopping the violence. He told the man he would eat only when the father embraced the man who killed his daughter. The man collapsed in tears, but did as Gandhi asked, and the larger conflict ended. It's remembering the truth, no matter how big the heartache, no matter how big the anguish, no matter how confused or how much of an illusion everything in the world tempts us with. Gosh, and don't we come here every Sunday to remember this? Yes, every Sunday. I'm like, oh my God, that's right. I'm perfect, complete, and whole, just as I am. And our world leaders, all of them, every one of them, are perfect, complete, and whole in the soul of each of us. And in that place, in that thumbprint of God, in the incarnation of every individual, we are connected. Hard to remember sometimes when we are confused and in the illusion of behavior, appalling behavior, killing, war. So in summary, if we're truly committed to creating a world that works for everyone, which is the vision, our global vision of Centers for Spiritual Living, creating a world that works for all, we'll be called outside of our comfort zone, won't we? Identify an area in your life where you're suffering. Can anyone identify just one area in your life where you are suffering? How about where the world is suffering? We are calling this suffering to be alleviated. As we face the circumstances, the conditions, the situations, there's a process. The first thing we do is stop, drop, and pray. The first thing we do is stop, drop, and pray. And we call our prayer, our affirmative prayer, spiritual mind treatment. And what does this do? This calms us. And then what happens when we're calm? We can enter into my favorite spiritual practice next to prayer is visioning. Then we go from prayer. We are prepared to vision, to know what Spirit's idea of itself is as the situation, circumstance, and condition. Then that vision, what must we become to have that vision manifest through us? What must we release to allow that vision to manifest? We practice visioning. We ask Spirit, what is Spirit's highest idea of itself? We're asking the question. The question is asking Spirit within. We're not asking some power outside of ourselves. And finally, vision for action. What action is for the highest good for all? To change the circumstance, condition, or situation. You must stay grounded in truth, spiritual principle. Don't be Callie in a frenzy, destroying everything in sight. And finally, we live in expectancy. What are we expecting? Our good. And what does our good in manifest do? It creates a world that works for everyone. Let us pray. Just loved this lesson today. I like to know that there is a power in this universe and other universes that we may not know about that is good for all, called by many names. We call it Shiva and Durga and Spirit and God Almighty, and we call it by avatars, Buddha and Jesus. We call it the Christ consciousness. So many manifest names. And we call it by principle, love and light and harmony and peace and joy. It is called by many names made manifest by many images to remind us to recognize it. Because once recognized, it ignites itself through its creation. It explodes its wonder through its creation. And that life, that Shiva, that power, that compassion of Kali, all of the goodness that there is my name. That is my name. That is the name of each of us. And we're connected in the name of God. We're connected in the love of God, in the harmony of God, in the abundance of spirit. I am so grateful to know this. And so I claim and declare a gratitude beyond my wildest imaginings for what's already so. And what's already so is this spiritual community. What's already so is this teaching. What's already so is a spiritual practice that calms me. A spiritual practice that makes manifest in my life that which I truly believe is good for all. I have a conviction of faith in it, and it must then become so. And that is good for the world. And so I bless this community. I bless this world. I bless our politicians. I bless our governing leaders. I bless all sentient beings. And I especially am grateful for the connection we have with each other. And so I commit to walk this life in spiritual principle and to experience spiritual principle. I commit to being a loving kindness in the world. I commit to doing no harm. I commit and am excited about that kind of life and the feeling of it. The feeling tone of it. And what happens? The abundance happens. We prosper. This center prospers. This world prospers. Our climate prospers. We feed one another. Take care of one another. I'm so grateful that this prayer is answered absolutely in faith. I release my word into the law that makes it so. And I'm so grateful as we say together, and so it is. Amen. Shalom. Ashe. It's so many names.
I just want to do the song. Sometimes it's hard for you to clearly see just how you're gonna keep it together. Your obligations and responsibilities, how you gonna meet them ends, how you gonna make it one more time. Now let's hear the truth of it. You are much, much more than this. Haven't you heard? Or haven't you heard? You're the light lighting up the world. Haven't you heard? Or haven't you heard? In you there's no darkness. Or haven't you heard? Or haven't you heard? You're the bread, you're the wine, the word. Haven't you heard? Or haven't you heard? You're the light of the universe. I know sometimes it's hard to hold your head up high. together. You think of things that make you wanna run and hide. Who would love you if they knew who you are? Who could you trust to understand? Now let's hear the truth of it. You are loved much more than this. Haven't you heard? Oh, haven't you heard? You're the light lighting up the world. Haven't you heard? Oh, haven't you heard? In you there's no darkness. Haven't you heard? Oh, haven't you heard? You're the bread, you're the wine, the word. Haven't you heard? Oh, haven't you heard? You're the light of the universe. You're not the things you have done. You're not the words that you've said, or the heartache that you're going through. Oh, you are the bright of the sun. You are the glow of the moon. And in your presence, the things that seem dark fade away. Haven't you heard? Haven't you heard? You're the light lighting up the world. Haven't you heard? Or haven't you heard? In you there's no darkness. Haven't you heard? Or haven't you heard? You're the bread, you're the wine, the word. Haven't you heard? Or haven't you heard? You're the light of the universe. Yeah, yeah. You're the light lighting up the world. Haven't you heard? Haven't you heard? In you there's no darkness. Haven't you heard? Haven't you heard? You're the bread, you're the wine, the word. Haven't you heard? Haven't you heard? You're the light of the universe. Universe. You're the light of the universe.
You are the light of the universe. Haven't you heard? I think we just heard that from Reverend Sharon. So take just a moment to feel that incredible richness and sweetness of being that is the truth of who you are. That is the truth of who we all are. That's what we have today and every day, and what we're bringing into the world. And right now we're bringing this into the world through this opportunity to give, this offering that is a sacred service that is part of our giving and receiving in a universe of giving and receiving. When we give, it says we activate and increase our own flow of good, which makes the spiritual practice easier and more fun as our lives become richer and more abundant. And so I know we give in so many ways. We've just given to the, why can't I think of it, cafe, I think it's called, our community service choice right now. And right now we give to our center, which is opening its doors at this new location and has so much going on. So you can give by PayPal, credit card, etc., personal check, and hit that donate button on our website. Our abundance affirmation: abiding by the law of circulation and in heartfelt gratitude, I affirm that I live in a creative and abundant universe that continuously flows in, through, and out as me, expressing as the ever expanding infinite good. and so it is. And now for our latest news.
I did tell you, I told you that at the beginning of the service, or Ruth, I got Ruth on to talk about how our permits we got our permits, and we're going to have a new roof. I think it's still going to be pointed like that, but it's going to be great. This is our new home. I'm pretty darn excited about it. We're going to be in there sooner than you think. So just, yeah. So I do believe next week is our town hall meeting. Is that right, Ruth? Yeah, next week is our town hall meeting. Please come. We're going to have so much to share with you. And this town hall meeting is for us to connect and be engaged with one another, but also to give you the updates on our new building. And also you can bring your suggestions and concerns. We leave some time at the town hall meeting for anyone wanting to talk about whatever's on your mind. So that's great. Now remember, if you weren't able to get to the park yesterday, go ahead and bring your items to our Sunday service, which is going to be in person next week. And you can check in with Ruth for the address of where we're going to be in person. You know, we did work on our website this week. So when I tell you that we have things for you to look at on our website that's new, I mean it. Jaime is our web designer, and he keeps us updated. So please check it out. We also have on our website a breakdown of what our costs are monthly to sustain our community. So if you're interested in why am I always asked to tithe or donate? My goodness, not only is it great for your own life to be in that law of circulation, in that flow, but also we've got bills to pay, and we let you know what those were. So please check that slide out on our donate page. And if you subscribe to our channel, I subscribe, and I got an automatic message on my phone the minute we went online, and that will happen for you if you subscribe. It also gives us a different presence on YouTube Live when we have enough subscriptions. So it is to our advantage for you to subscribe. And I believe I'm going to turn it right back over to our beloved Reverend Debbie.
Prayer requests, we welcome them on saccsl.org, which of course is our website. So not only is there a donate button, but there is a prayer request button, and those go out to our prayer team, and we pray on them for a week. So it's a wonderful way to be supported by the community. And now this is our gift to you for the week. Take this in, this affirmation. I know the truth of spirit that I am. I know the truth of spirit that I am. Now for our benediction, followed by our closing song. This moment is the moment of the divine. This moment that we have shared together, this service, now expands in us, in our hearts, in our minds, and in our lives as the incredible speaking and knowing of truth, as knowing at a deeper, broader level that which we need to know as we step into this week in joy, in safety, and in health, as we reach out when we need to for the support of others, and we bless each other and our world. This health and wholeness is expanding as the Sacramento Center for Spiritual Living, as we open our doors shortly at our new location, and everything falls into place for us. This amazing truth is happening now. It is all that is. I give thanks for answered prayer and release this word into the law that says yes, a resounding yes, with all the power of the universe. It is done, and so it is.
Love be with you, peace and Spirit lift you, breathe it in. Truth come through you, make good flow to you, and let joy renew you till we meet again. Love be with you. Ooh, love be with you. Sing that with me. Ooh, love be with you. Ooh, love be with you. Love be with you. Peace enfold you. Spirit lift you. Breathe it in. Truth come through you, make good flow to you, and let joy renew you till we meet again. Love be with you. Ooh, 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 love be with you. I love you all.
I love how he signs at the end.